We all joke about our cats, don't we? We say they're stubbornly independent, completely aloof, and that they pretty much just rule the house. We picture them playfully pouncing on laser pointers or confidently strutting right across our computer keyboards. But because of this deeply ingrained stereotype of the resilient, solitary cat, millions of well-meaning owners completely miss the silent cries for help happening right in front of them. Let's take a second to look past the funny internet memes and the playful stereotypes. What if your cat isn't just being lazy or grumpy lately? What if, behind that blank stare at the wall or that sudden avoidance of eye contact, they're actually suffering from deep, debilitating feline depression? Let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the heartbreaking reality that so many cats face in total silence. So, is your cat secretly suffering? I know, it's a really heavy question to carry as a pet parent, but think about it. In the wild, showing weakness or pain makes an animal an immediate target. And our domestic cats, they've inherited that exact survival instinct. They are absolute masters at hiding their pain and their sadness. Honestly, by the time you actually notice something is visibly wrong with their behavior, they've likely been suffering in silence, just feeling terrible for weeks or even months. We really have to learn to read their subtle body language, the drooping eyes, the tense posture. Today, we're uncovering the 7 heartbreaking signs that your cat is secretly depressed. And I really need you to stay with me here, because if you love your feline friend, you absolutely cannot afford to ignore these. First, it's absolutely crucial we understand what we're actually dealing with. Feeling depression isn't just a temporary bad mood. It is a severe state of emotional distress. And you know what the most dangerous part is? It's how it's masked by incredibly subtle behavioral changes. It's like a slow emotional descent. A depressed cat isn't necessarily going to weep or protest loudly. Instead, their world just slowly turns gray. Recognizing these masked behaviors requires our full attention and a whole lot of empathy. So let's begin our breakdown of the 7 signs, starting with something you might easily mistake for everyday cleanliness. Sign number 7, obsessive grooming. We all know cats are notoriously clean animals. They spend a massive portion of their day grooming themselves, meticulously washing their paws and their fur. Usually, it's a hallmark of a healthy cat, but there is a very dark side to this habit. There's this myth that it's always just a clean routine, but the harsh reality? This can actually be a form of self-harm triggered by severe emotional distress. See, when a cat aggressively licks a specific area over and over again, the act of licking releases endorphins in their brain, and those endorphins temporarily soothe their intense anxiety. It's essentially a coping mechanism. So, if you notice your cat licking themselves with such frantic intensity that they're literally creating bald spots, especially on their belly or down their legs, they aren't just taking a bath. They are desperately trying to self-medicate their distress. Moving on to sign number 6, the midnight cries. I want you to think about your cat's normal routines for a second. Has your usually quiet cat suddenly started pacing the halls, wandering the dark house, and crying at night? Or, on the flip side, has your chatty, meowing cat gone completely and utterly silent? Picture this. It's 2 a.m., the house is pitch black, and you hear this low, drawn-out, mournful yowl echoing down the hallway. Listen, that isn't just a random noise, and they aren't just asking for a midnight snack. It is a desperate call for comfort. When a cat makes this specific, sorrowful sound, it often signals deep confusion, which is actually pretty common with cognitive decline in senior cats. Or it signals profound loneliness and depression. They are quite literally calling out into the void, just hoping someone will anchor them. Which brings us to sign number 5, the litter box rebellion. Please pay really close attention to this one, because this specific, highly misunderstood behavior is tragically the #1 reason cats end up surrendered to animal shelters. It creates immense frustration for owners, which is totally understandable, but we really need to look at it through the cat's eyes. When a cat suddenly starts peeing on your bed, on a pile of your laundry, or right on the living room couch, the immediate human reaction is usually anger. We think they're acting out of spite or revenge, but let me be very clear. Cats do not feel spite. They literally lack the cognitive ability for revenge. Going outside the litter box is their ultimate, desperate way of communicating that something is horribly wrong in their world. It could be a painful medical issue like a urinary tract infection or severe environmental stress. The reality here is that they're mixing their scent with yours, specifically on your bed or your clothes, because they are utterly terrified and desperately seeking security in the places that smell most like the person they love. Let's transition over to sign number 4, the disappearing act. Now, cats love their naps, obviously, but there is a distinct difference between finding a quiet, cozy spot in the sun to doze off and actively isolating. If your cat has suddenly started hiding deep under the bed, burying themselves far back in dark closets, or squeezing into really hard-to-reach places for the vast majority of the day, this ties directly back to those survival instincts we talked about earlier. In the wild, an animal that's sick, weak, or depressed knows they are an easy target. So, what do? They isolate to protect themselves from predators. A happy, healthy cat will always eventually emerge for meals, for a bit of playtime, or to seek affection. If your cat refuses to come out, their mental or physical health is failing, and they're just hiding to protect themselves while they suffer. Moving deeper into these behavioral shifts, we arrive at sign number 3, unresponsive lethargy. We just talked about normal napping versus hiding, but we also really need to talk about the sheer volume and the quality of a cat's rest. Healthy cats sleep a lot. We're talking up to 16 hours a day on average, so that number alone shouldn't make you panic. But there is a massive difference between a cat that's resting and a cat that is depressed. A depressed cat doesn't just sleep 16 hours a day. They give up. Their sleep isn't restorative anymore, it's an escape. The true test here is their response to their environment. Try pulling out their absolute favorite feather wand or crack open a bag of their favorite treats. A healthy, resting cat, even when waking up from a deep, long slumber, will immediately perk up. You'll see their ears twitch, their eyes dilate, and their natural hunting instinct will instantly activate. But a depressed cat? They will simply stare blankly at that beloved toy, completely avoid eye contact, and just put their heavy head right back down on their paws. When you see this total loss of interest in the things that used to bring them joy, depression has fully taken over. In stark contrast to the isolating cat, we have sign number 2, sudden extreme clinginess. You might have a normally independent cat who suddenly cannot bear to leave your side for even a single second. If they're constantly following you from room to room, tangling themselves up in your legs, and crying frantically the second you shut a bathroom door, this isn't just them being cute or overly affectionate. This is severe separation anxiety. They are wrapping their paws around your arm and refusing to let go because in their depressed state, their internal world feels unstable and absolutely terrifying. They feel like they're drowning in anxiety, and you, their owner, are their only solid anchor. And finally, we reach the most heartbreaking sign of all. Sign number 1, unexplained aggression. This is the sign that truly shatters owners' hearts, and it often damages the bond between pet and parent. You go to stroke your sweet, familiar companion, and out of nowhere, their ears pin back and they suddenly hiss, swat, or bite. It is so easy to feel hurt or rejected when this happens. But please know, they aren't turning evil, they haven't stopped loving you. What's actually happening is that depression, which is very often compounded by hidden physical pain, severely lowers a cat's tolerance threshold. When they feel completely vulnerable, sad, and depressed, their sensory processing changes. A simple, loving touch that they used to really enjoy suddenly feels entirely overwhelming to their frayed nervous system. It's a defensive reaction born purely out of vulnerability. When a normally gentle cat suddenly hisses and shrinks away from your touch, they are not saying, "I hate you." If we could translate that hiss into words, it would sound a lot like this. "Please, I can't handle this right now. I am hurting." It is a desperate plea for space from a creature that feels entirely overwhelmed by their own physical or emotional pain. So, how do we go about saving our feline friends? I know taking in all this heavy information about their silent suffering can feel really overwhelming. But there is a brighter side to this story, and it begins with you. Our cats cannot speak our language to tell us when they're hurting. They rely entirely on us to read their silent language and to intervene. So here are the 3 actionable steps you absolutely must take. Step 1, don't get angry. Whether they're missing the litter box or hissing at you, remember it is a cry for help, not an insult. Step 2, give them immense patience and unconditional love. Let them move at their own pace. And step 3, the absolute most critical action you can take. Schedule a veterinary checkup immediately to rule out hidden physical pain like organ disease or arthritis, which so frequently masquerades as or even triggers depression in cats. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Have you ever noticed these subtle, silent signs in your own cat or perhaps a friend's cat? If this explainer opened your eyes today, I strongly encourage you to share it with other cat owners. Understanding these masked behaviors can entirely transform a pet's life, and your share could literally save a cat from suffering in the shadows. Pay close attention to those quiet moments. Give your cat a gentle hug from us today, and always keep learning.